Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to make a quick revision about grade 6 science for theme 1 and theme 2. Let's start in theme 1. Theme 1, concept 1 starts with the cell, and we said that the smallest building unit of the living organism, wherever animals, humans and plants, is called the cell. What are the organelles that are found inside the cell? We started with the cell membrane, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, nucleus and Golgi apparatus. Let's remind what is the function for each organelle. Nucleus, as we see, it responsible for the cell division and also control of the activity that happens inside the cell. Mitochondria is called the powerhouse of the cell as it converts the sugar into the chemical energy, so it's responsible for producing the energy for the cell. Golgi apparatus transport different materials and waste inside the cell and also out of the cell. Cell membrane has a property which is called selective permeability that allow what enter or leave the cell. So what happens if too much water enters the cell, it will swell until it bursts. Don't forget that the cell wall is found only in the plant cell and absent in the animal cell. Also, the vacuoles store water, nutrients, waste in both of them, but it has many vacuoles inside the animal cell, while the plant cell has one big sap vacuole. The cell wall is made up of what? Is made up of cellulose, which give the cell its definite shape. What about the shape for the animal cell? It doesn't have the cell wall, but it has other organelles that give its shape, like the exoskeleton in some insects and also the backbone inside the human and other animals. That's for the concept 1. Let's start in the concept 2. What happens when you face a dangerous situation? We know that all the systems inside your body work together in an integrated way. So what are the systems that's found inside your body to work together to face a dangerous situation? Starting with the endocrine system, which consists of many glands that secrete hormones, helps the heart to pump the blood, more oxygenated blood, to face a dangerous situation. Also control the body's temperature and the blood pressure. So when you face a dangerous situation, the first thing that you have to do, you saw the situation and send a signal to your brain. Then the brain tell your heart to pump more blood to reach to all the body parts and be ready for the musculoskeletal system to start to move to face the dangerous situation. What does the respiratory system do? What does the respiratory system do during the dangerous situation? First, it consists of what? The two lungs, the diaphragm, two bronchi and bronchioles. So when you face a dangerous situation and the heart started to pump more blood, the lungs started to take in air rich in oxygen during the inhalation process and get rid of carbon dioxide gas during the exhalation process. What is the role of the digestive system? If we don't have the digestive system, the other system doesn't take its nutrients to do its function. Each system needs a nutrients to do its function. So the role of the digestive system here, deliver the nutrients for each system inside your body. What does the digestive system consist of? It consists of mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small and large intestine, and ends with the anus. Don't forget that the digestive system doesn't work on the waste material, so it doesn't share in the excretion process. Just digestion process only. It's changing the complex food into the simpler one to make the nutrients to do the functions, to deliver the nutrients to each organ inside your body by the help of the circulatory system. Then we end this concept with a pacemaker. A pacemaker, we have a natural one inside your heart which creates electric current, allow the heart to pump more blood to reach to all the body parts. But if the pacemaker fails in its function, we will use the artificial one by using the motherboard, the battery and the non-insulated wire, and send to the physician some electric current to know how does the heart behave inside your body. So when the pacemaker fails to do its function, we will use the artificial one. The last part we talked about it in this concept, the excretory system. The excretory system must get rid of the waste out of the body to be healthy, and if we didn't get rid of these waste, we will get sick. The excretory system doesn't depend on only the urinary system, but the skin and also the respiratory system have an important role in the excretion process at the lungs. Get rid of the carbon dioxide gas during the exhalation process, and also the skin get rid of the excess salt, excess water in a form of sweat. Let's start in concept 3, which talks about the electricity. And don't forget that the electricity, it's a negative charged electrons which flow through the wire. We have two ways for connecting the lamps: series connection and parallel connection. The series connection has only one route for the electric current to flow through, while the parallel connection has branching routes for the electric current to flow through. So it's preferred to use the parallel connection if we want to connect the other lamps inside our houses, our factories, our streets, our classrooms, to avoid if one of these devices is broken or is burned, the others still emit light. Also, there's a difference between the gravity force and the magnetism force, but both of them doesn't need the object to be in a contact to see their effect. For example, if you have a marker and then it will fall down to the center of the earth due to the effect of the gravity. And for the magnetism, it has a magnetic field surrounded its poles in which the magnetism force appear in it. And for the magnetism force, we classify the materials into two types: magnetic materials and non-magnetic material. Magnetic materials, iron, cobalt, and nickel only. Don't forget that the copper is not a magnetic material. Let's return back again to the electricity. We classify the materials according to their conductivity for the electricity into two types: electric conductors and electric insulators. Conductors allow the electricity to flow through, while the insulators don't allow the electricity to flow through it. The electric current can pass through the circuit if all the components of the circuit is connected together. So if one of these components is separated from the circuit, the electric current cannot flow through, and so the lamp will not emit light. Don't forget that if we don't have the battery, we can use what as the source of electricity as a replacement for it, the wall socket. And also, if we don't have the switch, there are some devices has automatic internal one, like the thermostats inside the fridge. When we end the concept of the electricity, also we talked about that the electricity is very important in our daily life as their source: wind generator, water movement, and resources of coal and fuel. And the generator generates a large amount of electricity, both through the electrical poles, then through the large wires reaching to the outlet inside our houses. Then we can use it to connect many devices. That's for the concept 3. For the theme 1, let's start in theme 2, which it starts with the concept 1, the thermal energy. To know what is the meaning of the thermal energy, if you want to touch a hot cup of tea, what will you feel? I will feel what I can feel hot as the heat transfers from the higher temperature object to the lower temperature object, as we always said, until they become equal in their temperature, and this case is called thermal equilibrium. And what is the meaning of thermal equilibrium? It means that the two objects have the same temperature. So if I touch a hot surface, then I can feel hot with my hand. The molecules in my hand move faster after touching the heat, and the hot object will move slower as it's cooled. So the object that will be heated, its molecules will move faster, while the object that will be cooled, it will move slower. So we have a big difference here between the average temperature and also the final temperature. The average and the final is less than the average in some cases, as there is some heat transfers to the air around us. But if there is a thermal equilibrium, the average temperature is equal to the final temperature. Then we talked about the importance of the thermal energy, as we can use it in everything in our life, in warming, in ironing clothes, in drying washed clothes, in by using the electric iron, boiling water, just rubbing your hand together to feel warm if you are in the winter. And we classified according to the conductivity of the thermal energy materials into two types, thermal conductors and thermal insulators. Conductors allow the heat to flow through, but insulators just slow down the flow of the heat, which means that the plastic and the wood, although they are thermal insulators, but they allow the heat to flow through, but not as the speed of the electric conductors. And for example, for the evidence for these words, if you use a cooking pan, its handles are made of plastic, then you touch the plastic, it will be very hot, like the aluminium, but not the hotness of the aluminium and copper and iron, just warm. So it's preferred to use the handle which is made of plastic, as it warms slower than the wood. Then when we started in the last concept, also talked about the thermal energy, which means that the movement of the molecules of the atoms and the kinetic energy of the molecules and of the atoms. Also, don't forget that there is a big difference between the expansion and the contraction. Expansion increasing in the size of the molecules and the contraction decreasing in the size of the molecule. And for these reasons, designers started to use the expansion joint to keep the bridges safe from bending or buckling during the expansion in the hot weather. So we can use the expansion joint in railroad tracks and also in the bridges, as they are made of metals, and we know that the metals expand by heating and contract by cooling. Then we talked about the difference between the potential energy and the kinetic energy. If you are at the maximum height, so you will store more potential energy. And when you started to fall down, the potential energy changes into kinetic energy gradually. And due to the friction between your shoes or the object, wherever this object is moving on the road, there is a friction force here between the object and the road, which affects its speed, as some of kinetic energy transfers into the thermal energy. Then the last lesson talks about making new materials. If I want to make new materials, I will use three ways. First, mixing with other elements. Number 2, chemical exchange. And number 3, adding heat. The first material that the scientists discovered is the fabric one, which is used to light our houses, especially at night or in the dark, to protect themselves clean and to control the body's temperature. If I want to make a steel, I will mix iron with other elements, and because it's very strong, it can be lasted for a long period of time. This is the first material. The second one is steel. Then we can add heat to plastic to gain the shrink rate. If we want to make the glass, we can add a limestone. We can add also sand and soda ash, mixing them in a hot furnace to be molten. Then we can make the glass flowing as a process to make different shapes and sizes of the glass and leave it to be cooled. This was a very small summary for the concepts 1, 2, 3 in theme 1 and concept 1, 2 in theme 2. Just study the lessons and revise well, and good luck.